She
Happy
sat on a
birthday!
frozen
For
park
me,
bench with a
thank
broken
you.
backpack
We
and
couldn't let you
shattered
be alone.
dreams.
This means so
It
much.
was her birthday. No cake. No family. Just hunger and a silent wish that maybe, just maybe, someone would notice her. And someone did. A single dad holding a birthday cake for his daughter made a choice that would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin this heart-touching story, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories, because kindness deserves to be seen. The streets of Chicago had never felt colder than they did that morning. Snow lined the sidewalks like salt over an old wound, and people passed in thick coats with their heads low, hurrying to destinations where warmth and love awaited. But on a park bench near Franklin Square, a young woman sat with her knees drawn to her chest, her lips cracked, and her fingers blue from the cold. Her name was Emily Grace, and today was her 23rd birthday. There were no balloons. No phone calls. Just the rustle of fast footsteps and the distant honking of taxis. Her stomach groaned with hunger. 3 days ago, the shelter she had been staying at was shut down due to a pipe burst, and ever since, Emily had been surviving on half sandwiches from bins behind cafes and lukewarm water from a cracked bottle. She wasn't always homeless. In fact, just a year ago, she had a job at a daycare, a little apartment, and a fiancé. But when her mother died of cancer, the grief shattered her world. She missed too many shifts, lost her job, and when depression crept in, so did abandonment. Her fiancé left without warning. Emily tugged her scarf tighter and looked up at the gray sky. "Happy birthday to me," she whispered, trying not to cry. Across the street, Daniel, a 34-year-old single dad, was rushing out of a grocery store with a half-melted chocolate cake in a paper bag and his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, skipping beside him. Today was Lily's birthday too. The plan was simple. Cake, balloons, and a Disney movie night at home. Daniel had taken on 2 extra shifts that week to afford the small celebration. After losing his wife in a car accident 2 years ago, he'd vowed to keep birthdays joyful for Lily, no matter what it cost him. As they passed the park bench, Lily suddenly stopped. "Daddy," she said, tugging at his hand, "that girl looks really sad." Daniel followed her gaze to Emily. Her face was pale, and her eyes looked like they hadn't known sleep in days. Daniel hesitated. He wasn't someone who usually got involved. Life was already hard enough managing work and Lily. But something about Emily's gaze held a sadness he couldn't ignore. And then Lily asked softly, "Can we share my cake with her?" It caught Daniel off guard. But when he looked at his daughter's hopeful eyes and then back at Emily's trembling frame, he exhaled and nodded. They crossed the street. Emily flinched when she heard footsteps approach. She looked up, startled to see a child holding a box and a man offering a gentle smile. "Hi," the man said. "I'm Daniel, and this is my daughter, Lily. It's her birthday today, and she wanted to invite you to have some cake with us." Emily stared at them. Was this real? Or some kind of prank? Her lips trembled. "Why?" she whispered. "You don't even know me." "Because no one should be alone on their birthday," Lily said, holding the box out to her. And that was when Emily broke. Not in a loud, dramatic way. But a single tear rolled down her cheek as she slowly nodded. Daniel guided her to a nearby bench with less snow and opened the cake. It wasn't fancy, just a store-bought chocolate sponge, but to Emily, it looked like gold. Daniel pulled out 3 plastic spoons from his bag, and together, they shared a cake that warmed more than their stomachs. Between bites, Emily learned that Daniel was a mechanic and raising Lily alone. Daniel learned that Emily once loved teaching kids and had a dream of opening her own preschool. That night, 3 strangers laughed like old friends under a streetlight in the middle of a freezing city. As the sun began to set, Daniel stood up. "Look, I know this is sudden, but, if you need somewhere warm to stay tonight, just for tonight, you can crash on our couch. No pressure." Emily's hands trembled. "Why are you being so kind?" Daniel looked at Lily. "Because I want my daughter to know that kindness isn't a holiday act, it's who we are. And maybe, because I've been alone too." Emily didn't say anything at first. But her eyes said enough. She nodded slowly, clutching her tattered backpack as they all walked together toward a new beginning she never expected. Emily couldn't remember the last time she had taken a warm shower. The scent of vanilla soap, the softness of a borrowed towel, and the sight of herself in a clean mirror nearly broke her again. But this time, it wasn't from sadness. It was from the simple joy of feeling human again. Daniel's apartment wasn't big, but it was cozy. Lily had gone to bed after showing Emily all her drawings and offering her a teddy bear to sleep with. Daniel had given her an old sweatshirt and set up the couch with clean sheets. The heater hummed softly as snow fell outside the window. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table, sipping hot cocoa. Emily felt out of place, like a visitor in someone else's fairy tale. But Daniel made her feel welcome, seen. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for the cake, but for treating me like a person. Most people just look away." Daniel nodded, stirring his cocoa. "I've learned that looking away doesn't make things disappear. Sometimes, the greatest thing you can do is just sit next to someone in their silence." That night, Emily cried quietly into the pillow. But they weren't hopeless tears. For the first time in months, they were tears of release. The next morning, Emily offered to leave early, but Daniel insisted she stay for breakfast. Then one day turned into two. And two turned into a week. By the third day, Daniel found her tidying up the living room, folding Lily's clothes, and applying for part-time daycare jobs from his old laptop. She even walked Lily to school once, and the two had become inseparable. One evening, as they sat watching cartoons, Lily asked innocently, "Is Miss Emily gonna live with us forever?" The room went quiet, and Emily blushed. Daniel looked at Emily. "Well, that depends. Emily, what would you think about staying longer? Maybe finding a job nearby? Your family now." Emily's eyes welled again. I'd like that. More than anything." A month later, Emily was working at a local daycare part-time. Her laughter returned. Her hope returned. She and Lily would paint together, bake cookies, and giggle late into the evening. And Daniel. He started noticing things. The way Emily read bedtime stories with passion. The way her eyes sparkled when Lily made a joke. And the way his own heart felt lighter with her around. One spring afternoon, Emily found a small cupcake on the table with a note, "For your half-birthday. Because we don't wait another year to celebrate people we care about." It was signed, D&L. 6 months later, Daniel and Emily stood in the same park where they first met. This time, they were holding a picnic basket, and Lily was carrying a new chocolate cake. "I wanted to come here," Emily said, "because this is where everything changed." Daniel looked at her. "No. This is where everything started." He pulled out a small box from his pocket. Emily gasped. Lily screamed with joy. And in the place where she once sat forgotten, Emily said yes to a new life, a new family, and a love that began with a slice of cake on the coldest day of her life. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Because sometimes, the smallest act, a slice of cake, a kind word, can change a life forever. Let the world know that kindness is still alive. Yellow Heart.